Round 2 of the iGPFun Super Formula Lights League here from Virginia International Raceway. It is time for the last round of 2024. Most of the rest of the season will take part, of course, next year. We'll be back in 1 week's time at Watkins Glen for this little American portion of the season. But after just one round, we're set up for the second with not much having been learnt, to be honest. We're still very much in the early part of a new season. Myself, Ewan and James Parfitt taking you through the action here tonight. It's another standard sort of race, if you like, for this series. Here for about an hour here at VAR. Set number of... VIR, we watch too much football. Set number of laps as always, with that purple zone stretching round the opening corner as well, just to help keep things a little bit calm at the opening of this race. Looking forward to this, James. As I was telling you before, I'm not a huge fan of this circuit generally myself. Maybe it's because it's too difficult for me to drive personally, but that's besides the point. We'll see how this race is. You're pretty optimistic about this one. Maybe the low power that this car possesses will help us a little bit in terms of the racing we're going to get.
Yes, good evening, everybody. Of course, once more, me and Mr. O'Leary don't agree. How such a surprise going on the JPB broadcast that me and Ewan do not agree on tracks. I like it. I think VIR is an awesome course, and we're going to go through 29 laps of it. I think this is going to be an absolute banger. And we've got 43 cars in the qualifying session. There was a problem with the session earlier on. It was set up for an hour's quali rather than 30 minutes. So these guys have been running quali for the last 35 minutes, or nearly an hour, actually, I should say, and still going. I think VIR is going to produce something special. I think that run out of the oak tree down to the turn 14, I think it's going to be very, very interesting indeed. And I think we could have a bit of a banger here this evening. You say it's only round 2, so there isn't much to talk about apart from Jesper Sandström, who, well, dominated round 1 by about 5 seconds, and is looking quite strong here again as well. Hopefully we can keep him for the season. He's going to be strong up the championship if we do.
Absolutely he is. Another thing to talk about, of course, that great battle for third that was going on, eventually won by Lee Aberdeen. And if you look at the results sheet, you think, well, what battle? Because by the end of the race, he was actually 8 seconds ahead of 4th place, but that doesn't tell the full story at all. There was all sorts going on. A spin late on for Jakub Olszewski, unfortunately, dropped him way down at the end. He finished 14th, and Brent Ruiz spun not long before the end as well. He finished 8th in the end, so it was quite a dramatic race for those three. But Lee Aberdeen at the moment looks like he's qualified on pole. As you say, they've been out there for ages, so this is actually his 31st lap in qualifying. We're not going to see that at any point throughout the rest of the season, you wouldn't expect. Even at the shorter circuits like Interlagos or Montreal or Red Bull Ring, for example, it's certainly not going to get this amount of laps in even there. So it is going to be one of those longer sessions that we have this season, but that's okay. Don't think it's made too much of a difference. They normally get half an hour, which is plenty of time anyway to get yourself your lap in. What's interesting though is that the top 4 has all of those names we were speaking about. Barcelona, Lee Aberdeen, Brent Ruiz, Jesper Sandström and Jakub Olszewski, all big features of the top 5 last week.
Yeah, they did a great job. As you said, there were some amazing battles last week. It was absolutely awesome, and right up until the last few laps, I think it was still going on. And I think this is something that I think we're going to see here as well. There is that magenta zone, so around turn 1 through down into turn 1 here, where we're on board now with Aberdeen. Round this corner, then we can start overtaking. Are you going to want to start overtaking up through the snake? Probably not, to be blatantly honest. So you want to make sure that you just sit in your position. But I think it's going to be something very, very exciting for us to watch. We have just come back to the towards the end of quality. Now, Mr. O'Leary, I do want to touch on something really, really quickly. Did you do your homework over Christmas?
What was it?
You had to watch Die Hard. Did you watch Die Hard?
No, I didn't. No.
So you still can't answer whether or not it's a Christmas movie.
I can't, no. We're not allowed to talk about Christmas anymore because it's already been.
I don't care. You had one job. One job. That was it. You had one on that one. And you still did do it. So everybody at home who's sitting in YouTube chat as well, I apologise for Mr. O'Leary. He still has not watched Die Hard whatsoever. Right. We are coming to the end of qualifying. We've got a few people stopped on track. That's Brent Ruiz round at the old pit lane. You can see on the left-hand side there. Daniel Vogel still out, and Adam Townsmer is another one that's still out on a second to go. But I think this is going to be interesting. I think you're going to be more surprised, I think, on this one. I think you might actually sit back and go, do you know what? That actually was a bit of a banger.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. Well, you're going to laugh at me for this, by the way. While I was scrolling for something to watch last night, I confused Diode with Breaking Bad.
How did that work?
So I thought, is this the Christmas film I've not seen? In the end, Breaking Bad's not even a film.
What?
So,
oh my God!
Don't have. My film and TV knowledge is atrocious.
You think? This is the man, though. Everybody at home that's probably still not watched Ghostbusters.
No, I haven't done that either. So there's plenty to catch up on. Meanwhile, let's have a look at the grid ahead of this race, shall we, and get back to more serious matters. Leo Aberdeen has taken pole at the very end there with Brent Ruiz 2 tenths behind and Jesper Sandström not very far behind either. Then it's Jakob Olszewski and Robert Tilbury. Haven't seen much of. He's in the top 5 ahead of Mackenzie Room with Andy Flint and Daniel Vogel on row 4. Ludovic Rasson and Luca Veroni, round out the top 10. Tony Jimenez and Pedro Suarez are rounding out row 6. Then 13th place is Chris Patel ahead of Joseph Mark Lucas. Stefan Dodderer and Koji Ito are next ahead of Robert Ridgway and Eddie Amos. Bert-Jan van der Leyen is 19th ahead of Jimmy Dos Santos with Clark Williams and Adrian Fernandez in 22nd. Shuei Yakuburi is 23rd ahead of Richard Van Veen. Darren Machubunga is in 25th ahead of Chris Gibbs. Alod van der Hoven 27th ahead of Jonathan Cazorla. Still a long way to go here. Giovanni Solito is 29th ahead of Joey Arroyo. That's the top 30. Then it's Simon Fessy and Dennis Cornu and all French row 16. Adam Townsma and John McKenzie are next ahead of Jesse Leroy and Zoltan Zamota, Joshua Edwards, Chris Trott, Nick Carty, Ben Goyet, Sean Pulsfire and Martin Worf round out the 42 drivers who I believe will start. Don't think Barrett Brummett is going to start, the American, in 43rd, but he may do. We will see at the very end here. About 30 seconds until we get going here. It's a pretty much a grid as you'd expect, actually, but we'll see what happens here in this first lap, where, as the driver's briefing notes, there's really not very much chance to overtake.
No, definitely not as well. On the South layout, no, we're actually on the Grand Prix, the full course. As well. It's not the grand course, of course, and it's not the south course. It is the full course. 3.27 miles, 5.262 kilometres in length. Craig Jones, welcome in. Doesn't include your favourite corner. No, it doesn't. There is a corner on a certain layout of this circuit that is called a female dog, believe it or not.
I forgot about that, so thanks for reminding me. The red lights go on then, ready for the second round of the iGPFun Super Formula Lights League here, and we are underway with Jesper Sandström getting off to a pretty good start from 3rd there. He's alongside Brent Ruiz. Lee Aberdeen's trying to come across on him, and he's leading well in towards turn 1. Ruiz brakes very late there. Very nearly goes into the back of the Australian, but it didn't quite work out, and they get through nicely. Turns 1 and 2 complete, and as the driver's briefing knows, and as I noted earlier, it is difficult to overtake in this opening part of the lap. They get single file through the opening part then, with Aberdeen leading Brent Ruiz, then Jesper Sandström, Jakob Olszewski and Robert Tilbury, the top 5 unchanged from the grid.
Yeah, there's been a big incident at the back of the grid. I think Eddie Amos has had a big moment already. Not entirely sure what went on, but there was Eddie Amos, Jimmy Dos Santos, Adrian Fernandez, Richard Van Veen, Jonathan Cazorla, all involved in this. Chris Gibbs was there as well. Massive checkups from everybody in behind that. They have all managed to survive. Lee Aberdeen done what he needed to do. He got out in front, got through the oak tree, and away he's going to go. Now, can he hold it up that back straight down through turn 13?
Arroyo's gone off through the fast left-hander. That is at South Bend, turn 10, and he's dropped down the order just a little bit, but he's back on again. It's quite easy to get back on, actually, through there without too much trouble. Here goes Olszewski. He'll be on the back of Sandström, but he's not close enough into the uphill left and right-handers here. Odd chicane type thing here. It's a good overtaking opportunity though, and good to keep the slipstream going here, and Lee Aberdeen certainly providing a lot of that at the moment from the front of this race. Out the final corner, 29 laps of course at the start of this one. Ruiz is off slightly in the background. That's not going to help. He's back on again without too much trouble, save for Sandström, but it's a good run for Jakob Olszewski again here, right in the slipstream. He's going to be having a go up the inside, maybe, no, not quite, in towards turn 1, but Sandström is, that was late on the brakes and pretty on it. Well, side by side through turn 1 and 2 they go, but he's been on the outside for turns 3 and 4, I'm afraid, here, and he's going to find this very difficult indeed. Can he work it round there? No. He goes for the cutback, which is not going to work, but this is immediately giving a big lead to Lee Aberdeen. Yeah,
big old battle there from Jesper Sandström and Brent Ruiz. We've already got Jimmy Dos Santos, Pulsifier, Cornu and Zoltan Zamota in pit lane. Pulsifier and Zamota looks like they may have had a little bit of a ding-dong further back. There's Pulsifier in that 555. And Zamada, oh, he goes up the inside. Oh, blimey, shoots himself.
In pit lane, I think.
Yeah, and
I think on the outside was trying to get in pit lane. It's they've sort of crunched together there. We've got 4 down on pit lane at the moment. I'm not sure how many of those intended to come in, but there's certainly a lot of repairs going on at the moment. Pulsifer and Dennis Cornu have both already re-emerged, though, after their repairs.
Oh, he's going to go again. They're going to send it 3 wide. You can't be doing this. Oh, they're trying. Oleszewski's on the right. They're right as well. Sandstrom's gone through. They're going to run side by side. They're going to... Oh! Poor Brent Ruiz went from 2nd to 3rd there. Oleszewski sent him 3 wide with Sandstrom. Sandstrom managed to make the move. Great job, because I can tell you one thing, that was not a tidy move, and there was nearly contact then as well.
Yeah, Ruiz gave up those 2 places. He did what he suggested, which is backing out the 3 wide moment, but I'm afraid it sent him spiralling down the field. Tilbury's now up the order down into 4th place ahead of Mackenzie Roon, who's going to be coming up on the outside line as well here, the American. He is not going to break late enough for that, though. Down the inside for Flint, by the looks of things on Ruiz. They go side by side through turn 1 and 2. It seems like the obvious thing to do, go for the inside there, but actually you get on the outside for this sort of double left-hander at turn 3, and then 4 as well, so it doesn't often work. And Flint has to back into line again. A little bit Ransol in the background has just run a little bit wide there as well. He's inviting pressure from Vogel and the rest of them as well. That's a big train from 8th place all the way down to about 15.
Yeah, Robert Ridgway's in there, Stefan Dodder is in there as well. At the same time, Clark Williams, they're all going involved in this, and it's all getting a little bit scrappy. Ridgway in the background there as well. In his new team name, Ridgway Racing, rah-rah, Rodney, rah-rah, ba-ba-ba-ba-ba.
Sounds like he's trying to break our graphics, to be honest, and it looks like he's succeeded.
Yeah, he does it every week, bless him.
Yeah, he's there you go. Through the left-hander at turn 10, he's done a good job. Eddie Amos, we can spot him from a mile away. He's currently sat in 19th place, just ahead of Fernandez, who rounded out the top 20 at the moment. There he is, Edwin Fernandez Centurion for the SRP racing team. It's a little bit more professional, to be honest. He's got his name written out and the team name written everywhere as well. So there you go, up in towards the chicane they go. No, Fernandez not going to go anywhere on that occasion. Patel and Dodderer seem to have come together. They were battling for 13th and they've gone off. Dodderer's spun and he's lost his rear wing. He's backed it into the wall after contact, I think, with Patel, or a bit of coincidence. We'll see. Oh no, Dodderer's gone down the inside, I think unintentionally. Patel's had to run through the grass and will eventually get back on after a long excursion through the grass, but I'm afraid for Dodderer, he's got that all wrong. Down the inside as a necessity, really, rather than an intention, and I'm afraid he's ended up causing more damage to himself than everybody else, as up onto his lid goes Daniel Vogel.
How did he get there?
Oh, wow. Oh dear, that's a sickener, that one for Daniel Vogel. Let's hope he's not in VR, as we always say when someone goes over quite so violently. It's one of those awkward bits of contact, wheel to wheel, really, that... Oh, dear me. It wouldn't often send a car spiralling and barrel rolling, that one, but it's just that they've made a very awkward bit of contact in the right moment. Someone's reversing in pit lane there. I don't know what that's all about.
No, I'm not quite sure on that one. There's a couple. Van der Hoven's jumped to pit lane as well. Simon Fessi's left pit lane. He's entered in. Dodder has entered in. So, yeah, there's been some dramas further back for a lot of cars on these opening 4 laps. But there is still battles happening. Oleszewski here right up behind Sandstrom. Then we've got Joseph Mark Lucas, who's got Tony Jimenez coming at him as well on that run down into the roller coaster. Jimenez is looking to look at the round the outside. He is going to get that done over Mark Lucas as well, who's going to find himself under attack from Robert Ridgway. Clark Williams in the background, Bart-Jan van der Lande in there as well. Shooter Yukobori. There you go. He's also in a battle with Fernandez Centurion, who's chasing down on Chris Patel. So a lot happening all the way through this race at this moment in time.
The classic midfield trains are really starting to form now after the leaders get split apart, which is what generally happens side by side at turn 1. It's a bit of a squeeze through there, and there's no tarmac runoff here. It's all grass, which will send you miles away. Fernandez loses out to Patel, who's recovering after that contact with Dodderer. up at the chicane there. They get single file in time for the more difficult sections, but this is still all stemming from 10th place now. It's no longer Ludwig Son who's at the head of it. He's in 8th place, he's on his own now, but it's for 10th, Tony Jimenez, who is currently holding that place. It's, let's say, the classic midfield battles that tend to develop, because there isn't a train for the lead anymore, as there was in the very early moments of this race.
Yeah, exactly, and this is the problem. You've got all of these cars grouped together at the moment. You've got Jimenez, Lucas, Williams, Ridgway, Bart-Jan van der Laan, Koji Ito, Eddie Amos, and then you've got a 2.5 gap with Fernandez, who's got 4 others in behind him. So, you know, we've got that, as you say, that normal mid-car fight that's happening at the moment. Oleszewski has cleared Sandstrom, and he's trying to stay in front of him at this moment in time as well. Whether or not he's going to on this part of the race circuit, this is going to be the tough bit.
Has he got a good enough exit here, Sandstrom? It looks like he might well have. He's showing some of the signs of speed that he had last week, actually, but not quite the qualifying position to show for it. And now he's been let through on the inside there, basically by Oleszewski, who's seen him coming up from behind. Thought, well, I'm better off sticking in behind you and trying to benefit from your slipstream and some of your lines here rather than fighting you off. And so Oleszewski just tucks into line here and now holds 3rd place with Sandstrom in 2nd. He's got 2 seconds to try and catch Lee Aberdeen, which is going to be pretty difficult, even with the amount of laps remaining.
Yeah, exactly. This is what I mean. We've got 23 on this one. So Oleszewski and Sandstrom still got more time to swap backwards and forwards as it goes. This mid-train is still dropping off from 17th, 18th, 19th, and 20th. There are a couple of places now, a couple of seconds back, I should say. But you can see the middle from 10th right the way down to 16th. They're all not very far apart at all. So if we're going to get action, I think it's going to come in this mid-pack as well, with Bart-Jan van der Laan and Robert Ridgway as they're continuing to fight going down into the oak tree.
Good evening, by the way, to Ali Nasir, who is watching along tonight rather than participating, as Craig Jones points out. A lot of people are. We've got 41 who actually started the race. Didn't mention this at the time because a lot was going on. But Pedro Suarez, despite qualifying up in 12th place, didn't take the start and has not taken the start from pit lane afterwards either. So incredibly confused as to what's going on with him. But he didn't even decide to start from pit lane, but instead just not start at all. Barrett Brummett did a bit of practice, didn't qualify all race though, unfortunately. So he is well out at this stage. Already got Jimmy De Santos and Zoltan Zamotta out of the race. Unfortunately, Allard van der Hoven as well. Jonathan Cazorla is still in pit lane after 6.5 minutes of repairs, but it looks like he will not be classified now, even if he does re-emerge. So unfortunately, we are getting to that stage now where people are starting to retire very quickly indeed. Back on board with Jakub Oleszewski we go. Sandstrom didn't really make much progress on catching Lee Aberdeen that time. He did set the fastest lap of the race, but only caught by exactly 0.2 of a second.
Yeah, that's the thing, I think, as well. They just got to make sure that they're in that situation where we look at it now and go, right, what are you going to do? Are you going to fight, or are you going to chase Aberdeen down? Now, me personally, I would chase Aberdeen down, but at the end of the day, I'm not in the car. They're 1.8 back, and I can tell you one thing, Aberdeen does look very, very strong here. I would literally, for the next 10 laps, 12 laps if they can, is just try and put pressure on Aberdeen, but he's just opening the gap every single lap at this moment in time. You can see with Sandstrom, with Aberdeen's time, Aberdeen was 0.2 slower last lap, but he's pulled out already 1.2 over the last 4, so they've got to make sure that they can get onto the back of him.
Well, it's a good start for Sandstrom as far as catching him goes, certainly. It will take him 10-11 laps to catch him if he continues at this rate, so maybe he'll want to bring that down a bit, but it's still, if he catches in 10 laps time, he'll have more than 10 laps left to make the move, so maybe that timeline is a decent one. Over the line they go this time. What's the comparison? 37.6 to a 37.4 again, so 1.5 temps rather than 2 temps that time round, but he is still catching. It's definitely going in the right direction. Personal best for Tilbury and Roon that time round as well. They're not too far away the top 5 can be all in one shot at certain points of the racetrack now.
Yeah, you can see with Aberdeen there, it's going to be there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, there's 4, there's 5. So they are closing in there as well. Bring us, Bob. Welcome in. Thanks so much for joining us. But they are closing in very, very quickly. Aberdeen's gap's down from 1.8 to 1.68 at the moment, so they brought the gap down a bit. But you can see in the background as well, Brent Ruiz is trying to climb onto the back of them, as is Andy Flint, Ludovic Rancon, Luca Varani up 1 place. Got to give a shout out to Williams, who's up 10 places at this moment in time. Clark Williams, he's got Joseph Mark Lucas in behind him. Not the biggest gain though, as we've got 4 drivers on 11 place gain. Jesse Leroy's on 11, Josh Edwards, Nick Carty, Ben Goyette are all on 11 places gained, but Williams is the highest gainer in the top 15 with 10 places gained. So fair play to him, but he has got Joseph Mark Lucas tucked in right behind him.
Yeah, that will be causing him a few worries at the moment, especially at this point in the racetrack where they're running their way up to turn 14, the roller coaster as it's called, and well, you can just take one look at it there and decide for yourself why. Here goes Lucas, has a look, and he's given the room a little bit there by Williams when he didn't really need to, but he's got away with it, and he's still hanging on to 11th place. This midfield train that was very large not so long ago has completely disappeared into thin air for some reason, and now there's some very big gaps here. Williams and Lucas left on their own to fight for 11th here.
Yeah, they are at the moment. They've opened it up. Simon Fessie's been off, Richard Van Veen's been off, and Fessie's just been off again, so I'm not quite sure what's going on further down there. Mackenzie Roon still closing in with Robert Tilbury. There is Robert just in front. They are making gains on Oleswinski and Sandstrom, so keep an eye on that one with these guys closing in on the cars in front. Obviously with puff and smokes, we've got the dirt going on that we've seen earlier on with the particles that they brought in. So great action taking shape. I don't think this is done by any chance. We've still got 20 laps to go, remember, of this very meaty circuit that these guys have got to contend with. You know, they are going over 5.2k, so, you know, we're going to be here for a little bit longer as Mackenzie Roon and Tilbury continue to fight. Closing in on Oleswinski now. Not a great exit from Tilbury. He's now going to be up to Roon and decide what he's going to do here.
Let's see what he decides to do. He is gaining on the back straight. He's staying out the slipstream on purpose, which says a lot to me that he doesn't want to make this move necessarily. It's not really about timing your move around here at VIR. You've got to make it, really. It can be a bit difficult, so you wouldn't be staying out the slipstream and trying to time your move like we might well see a little bit later on in the season at Monza, for example, where we certainly will start to see a bit of that, and the Red Bull Ring as well. We're not going to see that here tonight, that's for sure. On the way towards the roller coaster, you're going to see some people trying to just make moves wherever they can, if they can at all possible. Here goes Roon again, avoiding the slipstream. Just look at him on the left-hand side there. That's, to me, showing a driver who wants to put their faith in the driver ahead and say to them, I'm not going to get in your way at all here if you just focus forward and try and catch us up to the top 3 at the moment, who have all split apart now, about 1.3 seconds apart.
I think the thing is here at the moment, they're not doing times quicker. They're a tenth slower than Oleswinski. They're 2 tenths slower than Sandstrom. They're, you know, and a tenth slower than Aberdeen. So they've got to make a decision whether or not Tilbury being in front is the best way, or is Roon best in front and Tilbury follow. You know, they've done what they needed to do, right? They're following each other like they should do and trying to close up. But is it going to be better the other way round rather than the way they're in? Because at the moment, they're not getting any closer than they were before, and they're not really utilising the lap times. They're not going quicker. Roon was quicker by about 0.02 of a second, which isn't massive, but it's a lot when you are fighting with guys who are a tenth quicker in front.
And speaking of in front, by the way, Sandstrom's last lap was 1:37.3, fastest of the race so far. That was 3.5 tenths quicker than the Aberdeen. This race is absolutely on here. Now, we have seen gaps come down like this in the past, and then the leader just steps on it again and they run away again, but we'll see whether that happens again here, because Jesper Sandstrom was very, very dominant last week. Even though the gap at the line was only 4.5 seconds, he did run away pretty comprehensively, and he was clearly the fastest driver in the field. Again, another little bit of time gain, just over 0.5 of a second. He's going to need to gain a little bit more than that per lap, to be honest. if he wants to be there by the end of the race, but that's a good start. That's a good place to be for Sandstrom at the moment, just slowly inching closer towards Aberdeen.
Yeah, and Roon and Tilbury still the same, not much quicker than what they need to be at the front. We have got a heck of a train going on further down. This is down in 21st. Giovanni Solito, Dorian Oruro, and Adam Townsend with John McKenzie all in here, and Jesse Leroy, Joshua Edwards is closing in as well. So a great little battle developing down here with Giovanni Solito the head of the battle, but Oruro in behind is closing in on him and bringing the cars behind him as well. So it's a great little bit of pockets of racing going on. We'll focus on these guys for a bit while you settle down at the front for a little bit.
Yep, there's a lot more going on down here, that's for sure, with Solito leading the line. 6 of them all in one queue, and some pretty good drivers here as well, by the way. Giovanni Solito leading the train. Adam Townsend, long-time driver this series, very good driver as well. He's 23rd. And John McKenzie, who we've seen plenty of as well, he's 24th.
Oh, nice carry.
Pretty high quality group, considering that none of them will be in the top 20, even if they finish top of the group. So yeah, that's pretty difficult. But whoever's going to prevail here, it's Solito, who's the one really under pressure, as is Townsend actually. But he's going to get the slipstream from the 2 ahead. Yeah,
Dorian Aurora closing in on these. McKenzie's going to be going for it here as well. They're running side by side down into the roller coaster. He's going to be on the outside for the first part. Is Townsend. He does allow McKenzie to go through. Then Jesse Leroy is also stuck through on Townsend as well, and that was a problem. He got pushed out of line, and then unfortunately he just lost 2 spots at the same time. Giovanni Solito and Oruro were going side by side into the roller coaster, and now they've lost time to John McKenzie in behind them. So this little pocket is getting very, very spicy indeed, and I'm hoping that they all make it to the end.
Let's hope so. Looking down the inside, that's Leroy. Oh, John McKenzie. He wasn't really with enough conviction, to be honest, to manage that. Jesse Leroy, who is in 24th at the moment, up 11, as is John McKenzie, actually. So, by the way, so is Joshua Edwards, Nick Carty, and Ben Goyette. They're all up 11. And they're all the biggest moving forward as well. Bit of a bizarre bit of symmetry going on there, but Leroy could be the biggest mover forward if he can make that move. So would Joshua Edwards if he can make this move on Adam Townsend, who's now down to 25th. So it's all going on here. And Connor Gibbs is not far behind them either. Oh, sorry, Chris Gibbs. Connor Gibbs. Long time ago.
Somewhere Chris else, Gibbs isn't it?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I can't remember. But yeah, Chris Gibbs is hovering 1.6 seconds back.
Yeah, he is at the moment there. Bringer saying this is what we call a gaggle. It absolutely is. There's a gaggle of them here. 2, 4, 6 is somebody. Oh, is that Chris Patel?
Yep.
How did he end up there?
Spun on the exit here with the wheels in the grass. There you go. Yeah. The dirt, I suppose. Just out of oak tree. Also with the tree that's not there anymore, very sadly, but there you go. He's at the back of the group now. Edwards and Townsend side by side. Arroyo's off in front of these guys. There he is. He's overcooked it. He's got it right initially, getting ahead of Giovanni Solito. He's got it wrong pretty much straight away. He's gone deep into the roller coaster. And look at that. He knew it was happening because he locked up and he went into the grass. He's now back not just to where he started. He's back behind where he started. And just in the background, somebody's had to come into pit lane. Arroyo's going to sort himself into 24th place. Solito now back at the head of the train again.
Yeah, Solito's there as well. That was Chris Patel coming into pit lane. Jesse Leroy, Adam Townsend still in the group. They've started to settle down. Now, I do want to pick up on what's going on up here. Mackenzie Roon Tilbury. I've got a funny feeling that is a backmarker in front, and this backmarker is causing a little bit of problem. It is Sean Pulsifier in the background. Oleszewski's going to be absolutely going nuts in his helmet there. He got held up by Pulsifier. He's lost over a second to Sandstrom, and now looks like he's almost going to lose his place to Tilbury. Tilbury's going to have that inside line. He is going to get the job done. Oleszewski is going to go absolutely bananas with Sean Pulsifier on that one after holding him up.
Yep, Tilbury on the podium. 2 Australians or 2 Oceanians. I don't know if he's actually on the in Australia or New Zealand because he's from either, as the Irish thing suggests there. But anyway, two of them on the podium right now, with Lee Aberdeen leading the race and Tilbury now in third. Olszewski's going to be coming back though. Oh, he had a look at the inside there, and I really thought he was going to go for it, but you sort of know there that you are on a bit of a hiding to nothing going down the inside at 1 and 2. You're just on the outside for the next 3 corners, so it gets very tricky indeed. Then you have to get single file in time for this more technical section here. It starts this lap through left hook, which is turn 4. To left-hander, then through 5A, then 6 and 6A, as they go through these wiggly bits that aren't really corners by the end of it, but then you get to the proper wiggly bits. They are corners. These are fast sweepers at the end of the lap, and Mackenzie Rune's using them to get very close to Olszewski. Look at these 3 now, so close up the hill here.
Yeah, neck and neck at the moment through the left-hander to go as South Bend, and that's the tricky one. You don't want to be on the outside running too wide. You do end up on the grass plummeting down the hill, and now they're coming through the oak tree as well. Quick poll for the guys at home. What happened to the oak tree and why was it removed? And let's see what happens with Tilbury, Olszewski and Rune.
And we'll see if anybody gets that right. Don't Google it. Tilbury gets out of oak tree, speaking of which, with Olszewski right in behind him, and here he goes up into the roller coaster. They'll plunge downhill and then back up again. It looks like Olszewski's going to have this. Oh, he definitely is. Can he put it up in time? He certainly can. There was an element there of Tilbury letting him have that one. However, I don't think he wanted to give up third place there. Olszewski's got a very good run out of oak tree, and he got his place back again. He's back up to third.
Yeah, that was a great move there from Olszewski. Now Rune's got to try and decide what is he going to do here. He's pulling out the draft. Now I do wonder whether or not tyres are going to be an issue here, and if that's what Rune's doing. He's not really being aggressive. You know, we've seen Rune be aggressive before, and he's not showing that aggressive body language. He hasn't really tried to get involved with Tilbury and Olszewski going side by side either. So he's kind of stayed out the way as Rune, and it's almost like he's sitting there preserving his tyres, waiting for something to happen. And if something happens, he will be there to pick up the pieces. He'll be like that road sweeper that comes and gets that last milk carton off the side of the road. He will sweep them up. So they've got to make sure that whatever Tilbury and Olszewski does, they've got to do it well. Otherwise, Rune's going to pick up in the background. What Rune doesn't want to do, though, is sit behind Tilbury, who then loses time to Olszewski in front. There's a fine balance for Rune, but he's done a great job for the first 15. Can he do a great job for the next 14?
Still a long way to go. Yeah, we are not halfway through yet. Well, probably are now because we're halfway around the lap, but you get the idea. We are pretty much on that point now, and that still means you've got a very long way to go, especially if you've been cooking your tyres early on. I can't imagine it's too much of a problem, but it could be. It's a very twisty circuit. Tilbury there just deciding to stay behind Olszewski. We'll have seen there on the cameras just how close he was to that third place. I think he really made that decision there not to get out of line, not to go for the move, which is interesting.
Yeah, he's just got to make sure whatever he does cleanly and make sure it's decisive. There's no point trying to go for a move and send it half-heart at the end of the back straight, because otherwise you're just going to get it wrong. He's just got to be decisive with it. He's got to make sure that move is clean. Now, that gaggle we were talking about has come back together again from John McKenzie, Jesse Leroy and Bart-Jan van der Land as they're fighting it out further down. They've dropped. Oh, no!
Jesse Leroy has got off. He's got on the curb on the left-hand side there, up through the roller coaster, and he's just spun off to the side of the road, harmlessly in the end. Actually, he hasn't hit anything or anyone, but he's down to 26th. That's going to be really gut-wrenching for him. And when you're in this battle here, you do lose a lot of places with one small error, and that's exactly what's happened to the Frenchman there, I'm afraid. Here comes Bart-Jan van der Land here into turn 1. John McKenzie's going to have his work cut out. It's going to be van der Land who gets down the inside, and that's a good move as well. Yeah. Up to 19th. He's actually through cleanly. That's we haven't seen too many of those, actually. So now it's Bart-Jan van der Land who is at the front of this queue. Yeah, he's done a great job there. Great overtake. Nice and smooth, nice and clean. Wasn't fought hard from McKenzie. It could have been fought a little bit tougher, but there's no point. Now I'm going to jump back up here because Tilbury again has closed right into Olszewski. Now, is this going to be the moment that Tilbury makes, or is he not? He hasn't, and Rune again is forced to follow. 137
position. The problem is this. Listen, 1:37.8 for Oleszewski, 37.8 for Tilbury, 37.78 for Mackenzie Roon, 37.37 for Sandstrom, 37.47 for Aberdeen. They're losing time by doing this. Make a decision. Depends what you're going to do. Go for it. Get it done. But you're losing time to Sandstrom.
I think they've sort of given up on the front two now, to be honest with you. With 4.5 seconds with less than half the race to go, they're going to need a big battle from Aberdeen and Sandstrom to get involved now. So they might as well fight for third almost here, because Brett Ruiz isn't seemingly catching them either. So 1.1 seconds between the front two. That is still coming down very slowly, by the way. Like it could come down a bit quicker when Sandstrom gets into the slipstream, but I think we could have a grandstand finish between Sandstrom and Lee Aberdeen here. Just 1 second between them, and it's going the right way for Jesper Sandstrom.
Yeah, he's done a great job at this moment in time. You can see the gap gain over Aberdeen at each lap as he goes down there as well. Aberdeen lost 2 tenths on lap 16. Not massive gains on 14 and 12 for Sandstrom, but still gains nevertheless. Now, one of the problems that we've just seen is who's just flashed through on the top end of our screen is Martin Waugh, who's going to be a backmarker. This young man has got to choose where to get out of the way and when to do it, because he does not want to be a rolling roadblock for his Australian counterpart who is leading the race. There's the leader. This is 32nd. Mind you, I'd like to point out, for Martin's sake, he's still up 10 places. So he's down in 32nd. He's still up 10 places. And here comes Aberdeen now. There you go.
He was the last of the starters, wasn't he, as he pulls out the way now. But yeah, still some good gains made by him. Has he got in the middle of these guys? Oh no, he's staying out the way there through turn 1 as well, though he did force Sandstrom to the inside, and I think Sandstrom was a bit offline there, if you like, and he's lost 4 tenths of a second in one go. He needs to not let that affect him, Jesper Sandstrom, and it looks like he has, up to 1.5. He can't let this affect him. 12 laps to go. He's got to start taking some lumps out of Aberdeen here, otherwise he's not going to catch up with enough laps left to actually make a move.
Yeah, exactly. I'm worried about this at the moment. Give me 2 seconds here, because Chris Trott has been off the circuit. He's come back on.
Oh no!
Trott,
I've done that before.
Straight into the wall, and then Richard Van Veen has had his own little problem. This looks like basically the same corner. Oh, and around he goes. Big old thick lock up there from Richard Van Veen. But yeah, very dramatic moment there for Chris Trott. Literally torpedoed the barrier. But these three are continuing to fight here. The gap up front now 1.6 seconds. Holy, says Ali. Absolutely.
If it makes Chris Trott feel any better, I did do that on a live stream once too. So there you go. I'm sure we've all done it that corner. It's really annoying. Tilbury holds on to third there with Olszewski just behind Mackenzie Roon as well. That train unchanged actually from these last few moments. If they go down the hill, Tilbury is making his way out of the final corner now. With enough of a margin does he have here? Well, Olszewski is going to be right in the slipstream, and look at this, that is Suor pulling out of the way, I think, of these guys, and now that could open the door for Olszewski. It does, as Tilbury pulls back to the racing line. Olszewski goes for the late braking line on the inside line, and he's got it again. He's back up to third place again. Olszewski with a great overtake there ahead of Tilbury. Then Mackenzie Roon, who is just waiting for his chance to strike further behind, but that is a change for third. Jakub Olszewski moves up onto the podium places again.
Yeah, they're still fighting out. 4.7, Sandstrom 1.1 on Aberdeen now. You can see Tony Jimenez and Varani. They're battling it out further down. We'll have a look at that very, very shortly. In through the 10A, 10B, turn 9, turn 10. Now here for South Bend for these guys. From the front end of Mackenzie Roon's car, you can see Tilbury literally getting a nice, decent run through. Into the oak tree they go, and through the right hand. Oleszewski did not get a good entry then. Well,
it's about the exit, more importantly, but he hasn't really got that, I'm afraid. Here he's losing time with Tilbury right in behind him here. He's going to be pulling to the left-hand side here in a short while. There he goes. Jordy's going to be going for the move here at the roller coaster. And well, he's going to have it done beforehand, actually. He's going to be through beforehand, and here goes Roon. Oh, that's the big thing, and no, he can't quite go through as well there. Roon was trying to follow through, but Olszewski offline because of it. Was there contact between the two? I'm not sure. but Rune there definitely tried to follow Tilbury through. It didn't work, but it's cost them both a lot of time. Brent Ruiz is now involved.
Yeah, they've both lost time there as well. And unfortunately, it's all gone wrong. They did make a swap. I will say they did make a swap, Rune and Oleswinski, just there. And then Oleswinski locks up, goes in. Oh, he went in very, very hot. And then Rune had to basically just kind of check up in behind him. Barani he's just past Martin War, lost that place to Tony Jimenez. So Jimenez is now in front of Barani. Koji Ito further down is battling with Eddie Amos. He's in the mid-pack for 14th and 15th. Ito just about to try and go up the inside, not this time for Koji Ito.
And so 14th place for Koji Ito ahead of Eddie Amos. Then it's Fernandez, who is in 16th. These midfield battles that we were seeing so much of in the first half of the race has really petered out a bit in the last third. We focus on more up front. The great battle for third. It's 2 weeks in a row now. We've had great battles for third that have been really the action through the latter half of the race. Let's hope it doesn't all end in tears, as it did last week as well, for those three involved. It looks like they've sort of reformed again, actually. Tilbury at one stage looked like he might be able to get away because he had a second over Olszewski, but 3/10 of that has gone in about a half of a lap here, so maybe it's not over just yet, and Tilbury's going to be looking over his shoulder again here in the last 9 laps of this race. Yeah,
it looks like he is just going to be coming back together, I think, as we get near. As we were just on Eddie Amos, unfortunately he's gone off and had himself a little bit of a boo-boo as Eddie. And there he goes into the oak tree, over the curb. That back end's coming round, Ed. And unfortunately for Eddie Amos in that famous Tron livery machine has unfortunately gone around. 7/10 in front of Oleswinski, 7/10 behind. Tony Jimenez, however, has not got that luxury with Luca Varani in there. He's got half a second gap at the moment.
Yeah, he's looking good. Those cars do look good, by the way. SRP Racing Team cars. The orange and black with the little white, whatever those are called, at the top of the, just above the driver's head. Not on the name, but he's running quite well. 8th place at the moment, Tony Jimenez. 3 places gained from his qualifying, just outside of the top 10. Biggest move forward, by the way, is still John McKenzie and Nick Carty tied. They've had 14 each. McKenzie, though, is in 20th place, so he'd probably get the award for that one. But that's what we always see in the iGPFun Super Formula Lights League. If you've not seen it before, there's a lot of drivers, a lot of cars, and some big movers forward at the end of the day, whoever they may be.
Yeah, Jimenez got that a little bit wrong. That's going to release Ferrari just to be able to close in and use that draft as best he can. You can see the gap. Now we're talking about second, we're talking about third, fourth, and fifth. Look at 1 and 2. We're back down to that 1 second, 1.1 mark for them. So we're going to keep a close eye on that, as those guys could end up coming back together within the next 8 laps as well. So there's still a couple of pockets. You can see Salito, Townsmere and Oruro are still fighting out down in 21st, 22nd and 23rd. And we've got this battle with Varani as well. But 137.2, another 2 attempts gained from Sandstrom over Aberdeen. But all the guys behind on the 37.5, 37.4 for Brent Ruiz. So he's closing in slowly on the guys in front of him. So even Ruiz could be involved in this battle as well.
I'm just not sure he's catching enough Sandstrom at the moment for the end of the race. I just think he's going to run out of time at the end of this.
I don't know. He could see him. He could see him.
Yeah.
It gives you that added speed, I don't know, the thing that you wish you had for the whole of the race. It gives you that thing. You start taking corners faster, you start changing differently, you get all feisty in the car and you can see him, and I think he's probably going to get, I reckon there's enough time. You watch now, he's just teetering on the edge of the draft at the moment, and I think if he can get a decent run out through the roller coaster, through the hog pen, the final corner, I reckon if he can get to 8 attempts when he hits that front stretch or this part, I reckon he'll start pulling him in. I think it's going to be closer than we think here, but Mackenzie Rune has just taken Oleswinski.
This is certainly close. It's close now here. Rune goes late on the brakes, but didn't need to go too late. Gets up to 4th place ahead of Olszewski, and they're still keeping Brent Ruiz at bay, by the way. Luca Varani up ahead of Tony Jimenez as well. That was a pretty similar move by the looks of things there. Up to 8th place. Koji Ito and Adrian Hernandez as well. Fernandez, I should say.
Fernandez.
Through he goes. That was very easy for Fernandez. Must have been a very good run out of Oak Tree and a pretty bad one for Koji Ito, I'm afraid. Another fastest lap of the race there for Sandstrom, but taken away by Mackenzie Roon. Surely helped by the slipstream a little bit, of course, but well, goodness me, we're getting quick now. These cars get very fast as you get light on fuel, by the way. And the tyre wear not really taking into any effect, to be honest with you. So it is just going to get faster and faster and faster. 37.1 last time from Mackenzie Roon.
Yeah, but don't forget, Roon hasn't done a lot all race. Obviously, he's driven the racetrack. I don't mean that, no offence, Mackenzie, if you watch his back. But he hasn't done a lot, has he? He's allowed these guys to fight in front. He's allowed them to go and buffer up their tyres. And Roon's now sat here for the last 6 laps laughing. Is he going to get any higher than third? Well, probably not. But he's going to be in a very strong position if he can just keep it on the racetrack and keep it over this final part. Oleszewski cannot. Big old moment for Oleszewski. That's going to allow Mackenzie Roon now to focus closing on Tilbury. Sandstrom's going to focus on Aberdeen, and they've got Backmarker. That Backmarker on the left is going to play a massive part. Stay there we go. Told you he would.
That might be game, set and match now. That might be it because of the Backmarker effectively there. That's a real shame to see. Now, who was that? I think it
Jesse Leroy.
was Leroy, yeah, I think it was. I'm afraid that wasn't great backmarkering. When there is a leading pair coming through like that, you generally shouldn't be getting in the middle of them, and he's just lost 4 tenths, and I think he'd lost with it his chance at winning this race.
I kind of agree with you. I think he'd spent so many laps trying to close him down. He got it down to that, you know, that 10th mark. Don't forget, it's taken him 4 to 5 laps to get here. You know, for Sandstrom, you can see, look, lap 19 quicker, lost a little bit, 20, then 21 quicker, 22 quicker, 23, 3 tenths slower. So he's got to go again, but he needs to gain it quicker. He can wait, he can close in 3 to 4 laps, but by that 5th lap, it will be the final lap of the race. He's got to be on the back end of Aberdeen again. He is bringing it back down, but all because that one Backmarker got caught in a really bad place, and he did really on corner entry. Could he have backed out a little bit more to allow him to go through? Possibly, but I think it's just a difficult situation when you're in that moment.
Of course, it is difficult to be a backmarker, and we can't underestimate that for sure. I think he definitely, looking back on that, could have done better with staying out of the way of these two. In a battle like this, you generally don't want people interfering, really, especially on a circuit like this as well, where it can be a bit tricky to overtake anyway, even on some lap cars. Here's Mackenzie Roon again on the back of Tilbury. Oleszewski now down to 6th place after that error at Oak Tree. Interestingly, he's not really been able to make any gains on Ruiz there either, so he's not really getting anywhere, I'm afraid, for the 5th place right now out of the final corner. Roon's too far back here. As Sandstrom responds with the fastest lap of the race. Can Roon do anything with Tilbury? Can he set the fastest lap of the race? He's been known to. He got quite close, but not quite. Stayed behind in towards turn 1 with 5 laps to go. Yeah,
he's only got 5 laps, Mackenzie Roon, but he is closing in back in on Tilbury. And then we've got another battle with Ito Fernandez and Yakobori there further down, 14th, 15th, 16th. Then we've got Townsma, Aruro, Salito battling it out, and Edwards and Carty. There's still a couple of battles to focus on. That gap up front, he's coming again. I don't even think Sandstrom's got the word quit in his vocabulary. I don't think 2nd place is even something that he acknowledges. I think probably for him, 2nd is last. So he is still coming back at Aberdeen again. And we said by 27, 28, if he can get in that draft, he's going to be there at the end. Aberdeen is now sitting in that car thinking, oh man, I've got to drive the pants off this machine, but it's whether or not the Australians got anything left to be able to drive the pants off it with, because at the moment, again, Sandstrom, I do not quit, is coming in behind him.
Oh, Ranson and Williams have both gone off, and Lucas is on to the top 10 all of a sudden. They've gone off together. Don't seem to be quite related. They both followed each other off. I think that's Ranson who's got off initially, then Williams who's followed him. Well, it's the other way round. It's a comedy of errors, I'm afraid, for those two.
There's one.
Just going a little bit, kind of what Oleszewski did, really. And they've hit each other slightly as well. Hopefully that hasn't done much damage, but it might have done to one of them. That is a real shame for Brunson and Williams as Roon and Tilbury now go side by side. He's on the outside, Mackenzie Roon. That's a lot of understeer there, I'm afraid, at turn 1. And he is not going to get anywhere. He stays in 4th place.
Yeah, but did you see at the same time, though, Tilbury made a shocker coming out of 1 and was sliding that car up like a trooper. So Tilbury's not looking comfortable at the moment. Roon is. And Sandstrom's down to a 2nd. He is pulling it back down to a 2nd, and he's coming into the most vital part of this circuit, round South Bend, coming into the Oak Tree. So at the moment, Aberdeen, you're going to be there, son, and he's coming with you.
It's going to be very interesting indeed to watch the remainder of this one between these two. I think Mackenzie Roon does have better speed actually than Tilbury, but it's just about whether he could actually make the move or not. When the remaining 3 and a bit laps here, out of Oak Tree they go. And Roon is going to be right up in the slipstream of Tilbury, but he's just not close enough really. Under half a second, but that's a long way back into such a difficult break, and then you really need to be absolutely alongside for the roller coaster, and he absolutely is not on this occasion. 3 laps to go, and Sandstrom there briefly got below 1 second behind Lee Aberdeen. He's not had a great run through the final sector actually. As some guys have been noting in YouTube chat, it's not actually very easy to follow. 1.1 seconds though is the gap. Look at the time he's about to lose here. Lee Aberdeen gaining half a tenth, as you say, in the final sector, but it's still a fastest lap from Sandstrom. He just needs more than that, needs more than that 0.08 of a second he got last time.
Yeah, but where's he going to get it from? We'll keep an eye on the sector times here. I think it is, by the looks on that graphic, it's going to be the last sector. Aberdeen was quicker in 1. So we'll go again and see what comes out of sector 2 here, and we'll be able to pinpoint where Sandstrom's losing that pace. Aberdeen sitting in front of us, you can see him there as well. Sandstrom can see him ever closer. Aberdeen slower, that negates the gap on from sector 1 as well. This is where Sandstrom is looking quite strong in through South Bend, coming into the next sector now. Sector 3 gone. Sandstrom again, that little bit quicker and quicker. He's got the gap down, but it's here. This is where the struggle lies for Sandstrom, and it's coming through here, through sectors 4, 5 and 6. We'll keep an eye on it, but I've got a funny feeling Aberdeen might be quicker over this last half.
Just looking like he's going to have enough, Lee Aberdeen, unless there's an error. Mackenzie Roon is very close behind Tilbury, by the way. He's got his best chance for a while, and surely this is going to be him through. Oh, he's on the outside line, and, well, is he just far enough up ahead here? He is just about. It's a good move from Mackenzie Roon on Tilbury, but there's still 2 laps to go. There's still plenty of time for Tilbury to come back, and he certainly has done in the past.
He's come back at him, but I think that's the thing. He's got to use this back straight. He's got to make sure he slots in. Roon's got to drive as defensive as he possibly can. Aberdeen's just done his fastest lap of the race on lap 28. If you're going to do it, you might as well do it towards the end, and he has done that. We've got 1 more. Sandstrom's time and is dropping, as is Tilbury's at the same time. So it's going to be, keep an eye on it. If he just needs... But Sandstrom at the moment, he just needs Aberdeen to get a rough exit, and that will close the gap up. Same for Tilbury. He needs Roon to get a rough exit for him to be able to close in as well.
Out of these corners, there they go, and Tilbury is going to be extremely close up the hill, somewhat dangerously close almost for his own safety there, because it's a difficult section of corners. Up in towards turn 10, you're not going to be trying to make a move. It's a fast committed left-hander. To make sure you don't go off there, and then don't break too late for this. You can very easily find yourself in the grass, as we've seen before, and then in the wall. You need a good exit from there, but Roon's done it better. Tilbury's only sort of matched him there when he needed to get a better exit, to be honest, and he's not quite got it, but he will get a very long slipstream. That could bring him back into touch here as they go up over the rise. He's got a massive overspeed. The slipstream given off by these cars, substantial, of course. And here goes Tilbury on Roon, who gives it up in the end. He knows there'll be one more chance on the final lap coming up next.
Yeah, final lap of the race now going to be here as well. This is going to be Sandstrom's last opportunity. What's going to happen? Aberdeen goes over the line. Sandstrom goes over the line. 36.8 for Aberdeen. 36.8 for Sandstrom. Fastest lap for Aberdeen, personal best for Sandstrom. It just goes to show how strong the Australian is here. He is being mighty at the moment, and personal best last lap, fastest lap of the race this time around. Great racing from these guys. We'll keep an eye on it over this final lap, but it's here where Roon and Tilbury still going at each other.
And what a great drive of mental strength it seems to have been from Lee Aberdeen here, more than an actual battle on the circuit. Been very well with Jesper Sandstrom breathing down his neck, and Sandstrom will probably be wondering what would have happened if he'd have qualified on the front row rather than down in third. Here goes Roon, he's pulling alongside. It's almost as if Tilbury wants him to go past. They're almost jockeying for position there on the back straight for the final time. Will Roon prevail here with the slipstream? It looks like he might well do.
Oh, Sandstrom's gap's down to under a second. Under a second. I don't think he's going to have enough. I think Aberdeen's going to hold on, but he just shows where that backmarker, if that backmarker wasn't there, how close would Sandstrom have been already?
Exactly. It's one that he's going to be looking back on for sure here as Aberdeen closes in on a couple of lap cars himself here right at the very end, if you like. Not quite going to get to them in time, but he is going to come through the final corner right now and take the second round of the championship. Lee Aberdeen wins here at Virginia International Raceway in round 2 of the iGPFun Super Formula Lights League here in season 1 of 2025. It's Roon versus Tilbury for third, and Tilbury's come off second best. We'll have to see what happened again there, because there's certainly been a bit of a coming together. Ruiz is coming up at the very end, but he's not quite going to get there in time, and he's going to finish 5th at the end. Ito and Yukaburi, meanwhile, are going side by side for 14th as well in the final moments of this race, but no, not quite. Yukaburi holds on from Ito. Ridgeway actually at the head of this group for 12th place, but there was certainly something going on there the second week in a row in the battle for third place.
Yeah, we'll have a look back at the moment. I'm not quite sure if there was contact on the overtake. Let's see here what's going to happen. It's Fernandez going to get Ridgeway at the line. Ridgeway looks like he just hold on to that one. This is the Roon Tilbury situation. Tilbury gets on the marbles.
And he just, locks up and goes wide himself. I thought they would have been coming together, but no, it's clean racing, and he just goes wide himself. Very interesting indeed, but there you have it. There's the race, and Lee Aberdeen wins it. 8/10 of a second in the end, and the result sheet this week, unlike last year, is certainly going to reflect the general flow of play in the race, if you like. That was a big race for Lee Aberdeen to go home and win, because he was under pressure for all of it, almost.
And that was the thing with Sandstrom taking the win last week, of course, and Mackenzie Roon getting in front and Aberdeen in third. It's going to be very, very close at the head of the standards once they all come through. So I think this season, with the drivers we've got in the front end group, I think this season is going to be absolutely fire. And if just please, Jesper Sandstrom, stay in, because I think he's a pivot point in this as well. If he's in the race, these guys seem to drive like they are just all Nigel Mansell, and they all go in for it, and it's great to see. And I'd love to see Jesper Sandstrom stay in.
Yeah, let's hope he does, certainly, but things are a bit strange at this time of year in terms of how people are available, so we will see on that front. But at the end of the day, it's Lee Aberdeen who takes another win in the iGPFun Super Formula Lights League ahead of Jesper Sandstrom, with Mackenzie Roon joining them on the podium. Robert Tilbury hung on from Brent Ruiz at the end there, although he was challenged, and he finishes 6th ahead of Jakub Olszewski, who has another late spin, I'm afraid, for the second week in a row. Tony Jimenez, Luca Varani and Judges Lucas round out the top 10, with Clark Williams in 11th place and Robert Ridgeway in 12th. 13th went to Adrian Fernandez in the end, ahead of Suor Bertilla and Koji Ito, who were battling to the line. At 16th with Ludovic Ranson, who also had an issue late on as well. Darren Machavunga, who we didn't see much of at all, finished 17th ahead of Eddie Amos. John McKenzie, who is going to be the biggest mover forward with 15. He finished 19th ahead of Dorian Arroyo. Giovanni Solito was just outside that top 20 with Adam Townsend 22nd. Joshua Edwards, Nick Carty and Chris Patel ran out of the top 25 with Ben Goyette next. Bart-Jan van der Leyen is 27th ahead of Jesse Leroy and Simon Fessy, who finished one lap down, by the way, Fessy. With Dennis Cornu also a lap down, as was Chris Gibbs, Daniel Vogel and Martin Wirt. The non-finishers were Jonathan Cathola, Sean Pulsipert, Chris Trott, Richard Van Veen, Stefan Dodder, Allard van der Hoven, Zoltan Zabata, Jimmy DeSantos, with Baron Brubbett and Pedro Suarez not taking the start. So that is how we finished here at the end of this race. The same names cropping up at the front again. Sandstrom won from Roon from Aberdeen last week. This week, Aberdeen wins from Sandstrom and from Roon. It is the same top three for the second week in a row, maybe telling us just who is going to be fighting for the championship in 10 weeks' time.
Yeah, but I don't think it's done. But I do want to ask a question. Has the racing here this evening changed your perception of VIR?
Not especially, but it wasn't a bad race either. There was one big overtaking opportunity in towards the roller coaster, but that was pretty much it. I think it's the technical challenge of this circuit that I think a lot of people enjoy, and I don't particularly, but it was a decent race, a decent way to end 2024 in terms of this series as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the broadcast. No worries, Simon. Much appreciated for you. Ali Nasir, bring us Bob. Craig Jones, who's here as well. Spending the night at the moment is poor old Craig sitting in a hospital bed. I will say he is fine, so big shout out to him as well on that one. But yeah, it's been great. I've enjoyed this as I always have as well. Interestingly though, the schedule itself coming up, it's going to be very, very interesting, this one as well, as we're going to head to Watkins Glen next week.
Yeah, we certainly are. Sort of a North American, USA sort of small leg to this series before we return back to the continent on the 16th of February for Montreal. And that'll be it. Not very many American races this season. Just the 3 North American races. So we'll be going for a long time in Europe very soon. But we are taking Phillip Island and Interlagos in as well. So very much hope you can join us again next week. We'll be back racing on the 5th of January for the Watkins Glen round of this championship. So I very much hope that you can join us for that. I've been Ewan O'Leary alongside James Parfitt until we see you next week for more iGPFun Super Formula Lights League racing from Watkins Glen. It's goodbye for now.